Now actually from this topic onwards, we'll be moving to the core of your chemistry. So all these things needs to be understood in order to have a clear concept about your chemistry. Okay, so this is actually related to almost all the chapters from now onwards, whether it be inorganic chemistry, physical chemistry, or organic chemistry. Okay, you need to understand this, right? Okay, so let us start our class. Okay, so let us begin. Okay, so today's topic is going to be quantum numbers. Eh? So let us all try to understand what does this mean. Quantum numbers. Fine. So how many set of quantum numbers are there? So there are 4 set of quantum numbers, and today we shall be analyzing this one by one. So the first quantum number is known as a principal, PAL, quantum number, principal quantum number, which is denoted by small ni. Okay, so the first quantum number is a principal quantum number, Principal, principal quantum number. Okay, so this is the first quantum number we shall be discussing. So what are the information this principal quantum number gives us? Okay, so there are various information which are given by this principal quantum number. First, this principal quantum number, it helps us to designate, it helps us to designate a shell. It helps us to designate a shell. What does this mean? Now, in the basic model of an atom, we have a nucleus, and around the nucleus we have circular orbits, which are also known as your shells, And these circular orbits or shells are denoted by a small n. For example, what does the value of small n equals to 1 denote? Small n equals to 1 denotes what? This denotes the first shell. Okay, second shell is denoted by the value of n equals to 2. Similarly, the third shell is denoted by the value of n equals to 3. Okay, so this principal quantum number, it helps us to understand which shell are we talking about. So if you write n equals to 5, then yes, we are talking about a fifth shell. Not only this, it also helps us to designate a shell. What does this mean? What does this mean? Suppose, so we all know this, suppose I write down the value of n, okay, and I write down the shells out here. Right? I write down the shells out here. Okay, so the value of n equals to 1. What is that shell known as? It is known as here K shell. Right? The first shell is also known as here K shell. Okay, so this is, I think this was learned in your junior classes as well. So what does the value of n equals to 2 denote then? The first shell is designated as K shell. The second shell will be designated as L shell. Yes. Similarly, the third shell will be designated as N shell. The fourth shell will be designated as N shell, and so on. So the value of small n, principal quantum number, it helps us, it designates a particular shell. So n equals to 2 means we are talking about second shell. What is the designation of the second shell? L. Fine. Okay, so this is the first information which is provided by the principal quantum number. Okay, designation of a shell. So it helps us to calculate the number of electrons. It helps us to calculate the number of electrons in a shell. So how many electrons can be accommodated in a particular shell is given by the value of this principal quantum number. Yes, any one of you, what is the formula? What is the formula for calculating the number of electrons in a particular shell? The formula is, yes, we should be knowing this. The formula is 2n square. The formula is 2n square. That means in the first shell, n equals to 1. That means in the first shell or K shell, what is the maximum number of electrons then? 2 into 1 square. That means 2 electrons. A maximum of 2 electrons can be accommodated. Similarly, in the second shell, n equals to 2. How many electrons? N ka value 2. 2 times 2 square 4. 4 to 8 electrons. Maximum of 8 electrons. Similarly, in the third shell, n equals to 3. How many electrons maximum? 339, 9 2s are 18 electrons. So from the value of this principal quantum number, we can also calculate the number of electrons. What kind of electrons? Maximum number of electrons present in a shell. So what is the maximum number of electrons which can be present in the first shell? 2 electrons. Maximum number of electrons in the second shell? 8 electrons. Maximum number of electrons in the third shell? 18 electrons. Okay, so this is the information provided by this quantum number. Okay, now other information, it helps us to calculate the distance of the shells from the nucleus. It helps us to calculate the distance of the orbits, distance of these orbits from the nucleus. Or in a way we can say it helps us to calculate the size of an atom. It helps us to calculate the size of an atom. Okay. So it helps us to calculate the average distance of the electron. Okay, it helps us to calculate the average distance of electron from the nucleus. Yes, what was the formula? We have already done this. What was the formula, guys, for calculating the radius? So it was Rn. Okay, this is the formula for calculating the radius. Rn equals to n square h square 4 pi square me square. So I presented this in another way. Rn equals to 0.529 n square angstrom. Remember, this was the formula I had given. So here also the radius of any orbit. Radius means distance from the nucleus to a particular electron. This value, okay, can be calculated by using this formula. So yes, the principal quantum number, it helps us to calculate the average distance of the electron from the nucleus by using this formula. So what are the information till now? Principal quantum number, it helps us to designate a shell. Okay, it helps us to calculate the maximum number of electrons in a particular shell. Third, it gives us an idea about the radius of the shells, or it helps us to calculate the average distance of electron from the nucleus by using this formula. So what is the average distance of the electron present in the first shell? You'll put n ka value 1. What is the radius of the electron if it is present in the second orbit? N equals to 2. Similarly, third orbit, if the electron is present in the third orbit, what is the radius? You'll put the value of n equals to 3, and so on. Okay, and so on. Okay, so these are the three informations which are provided by this principal quantum number. So apart from this, are there any other informations? Yes. It also helps us to calculate the energy of shells. So we have discussed in details in Bohr's theory that each shell or each orbit is associated with a definite amount of energy. Yes, have we discussed that thing? Yes, we have discussed that each orbit or each shell is associated with a definite amount of energy. So this principal quantum number, it helps us to calculate the energy of shells. So what is the formula, guys? We should be knowing. What is the formula? En equals to kya tha formula? Yes? Who remembers the formula? What is the formula for calculating the energy? Yes, anyone?
Hc by lambda.
That was your outcome of your which principle? Your Planck's quantum theory is equal to h mu. Okay, that is the energy of a wave.
1 by lambda into 1 by n2 minus 1 by n1.
That was the
Minus
formula
1
for
by minus.
calculating the wavelength. That was the formula for
So
calculating the
EH
wavelength.
into Z square by H square.
So it was minus 2.18,
Say,
remember, into 10 to the power minus 18 into what?
Z
Z
square.
square by N square. What was the unit? Yes, joule per atom. Okay, in joule per atom, this was the formula. So we have done all these things. So in kilojoule per mole क्या था? Minus 1312 into Z square by N square kilojoule per mole. Okay, so these were the formula for calculating the energy. What was Z? Z was the atomic number. For hydrogen atom, Z equals to 1. N designates the again shell. So if you're asked to calculate the energy of electron present in the second shell, then simply you'll put the value of N equals to 2. If you're asked to calculate the energy of the electron of the fifth shell, simply you'll put the value of N equals to 5. Okay, so these are the different informations which are provided by this principal quantum number. Okay, then from these, indirectly what we can do is we can also calculate the amount of energy which is absorbed by an electron when it makes a transition from one energy level to another energy level, which we have done. Or we can also calculate the amount of energy which will be released when an electron returns from higher energy level to lower energy level. Okay, from these energy of cells. Fine. So these are the different informations which are provided by this principal quantum number. So in a nutshell, these are the main informations which are provided by this principal quantum number, which we have in fact done already. Okay, we have discussed about the energy, we have discussed about the radius. Okay, we have discussed about the radius and so on. Okay, so fine. So nothing new out here. Okay. So this was the first quantum number, which is known as a principal quantum number. Now let us move towards other quantum numbers. Let us move towards other quantum numbers. Okay. So remember, quantum numbers, it gives us an idea about what? Shells. It gives us an idea about shells. Okay. So second quantum number, which is very important, and we'll be discussing about, is known as a second quantum number. It is known as a azimuthal. It is known as a azimuthal quantum number. Okay, and what is the symbol of azimuthal quantum number, guys? It is
L.
designated by the letter small l. It is designated by the small letter L. Now let us try to understand the origin of this quantum number. Okay, now I'll come back to a hydrogen spectrum. Okay, we see that in a hydrogen spectrum, we get a series of lines like this. We get a series of lines. We get a series of lines like this. We get a series of lines. Okay, and some belong to UV region, some belong to visible region, some belong to infrared region. By the way, what was the name of the lines which belong to visible region? कौन सा series बोलते हैं हम लोग which belong to visible region? कौन सा series बोलते हैं हम लोग? We call it
Balmer.
as Balmer series. We call it as Balmer series. Okay, visible region में. Yes, now you should be understanding this. अब relate करेंगे हम लोग. So how did we explain the occurrence of these lines? How did we explain the occurrence of lines in Balmer series? How did we explain that? किस explain किया था हम लोग ने? How did you explain? Yes, we have dedicated an entire class on that. The origin of lines, how did we explain? Again, we explained. Okay,
First
so there
level.
is n equals to 1, n equals to 2, n equals to 3, n equals to 4. So we said that when an electron makes a transition from any higher energy level to first energy level like this, any higher energy level to first energy level, we get lines corresponding to which series? Lyman series. Discuss किया था ना हम लोग ने? Similarly, when an electron makes a transition from any higher energy level to second energy level, we get lines corresponding to Balmer series like this. Let me explain this. So the occurrence of these lines were explained on the basis of transition of an electron from one shell to another shell. So whenever an electron makes a transition from any higher shell to first shell, we get lines corresponding to Lyman series. Okay, now as technology got advanced, when these lines were observed under a fine spectroscopy, when these individual lines were observed carefully with the help of a fine resolving spectroscope, okay, so it was found that each line consists of many fine lines. Each line consists of many fine lines closely stacked together like this. Okay, so when these were observed under the high resolving spectroscope, it was found that each line consists of many fine lines closely spaced together, That means these lines were not solid lines, Each line was found to consist of many fine lines closely spaced together, and this is known as a fine spectra. Okay, so what was the thing? Bohr's theory could beautifully explain the occurrence of these lines, and when these lines were observed under a high resolving spectroscope, it was found that each line was not a solid line, rather each line was found to consist of many fine lines closely spaced together, which was known as a fine spectra. And Bohr's theory could not explain the occurrence of this fine spectra. Right? So this was one of the disadvantages. Right? So remember Bohr's theory could not explain the occurrence of fine spectra. So I'm going into quite a detailed study of this. Okay, I'm just trying to help you understand the origin of this quantum number, right? Okay, so these lines, this spectrum, Lyman series, Balmer series could, again I'm telling you, this could be explained on the fact that when an electron makes a transition from one shell to another shell, we get lines corresponding to different shells, and the shells are designated by this principal quantum number. Okay, so when an electron makes a transition from 4 to 1, we get line corresponding to Lyman. 3 to 1 again Lyman series. 2 to 1 Lyman series. Fine. Now how do we explain this? Now in order to explain these lines, yes, it could be explained by principal quantum number. Okay. Similarly, in order to explain this fine spectra, another quantum number was required, and that quantum number is known as a azimuthal quantum number. So what is actually this azimuthal quantum number? Okay. Now Bohr's theory के बाद में आया और एक theory which is known as a Sommerfeld theory, which is not in your syllabus, छोड़ देते हैं हम लोग. Okay, so what did Sommerfeld propose that? What did he propose? Just that point needs to be understood. He proposed that, okay, each shell consists of many subshells. But he introduced the concept of a subshell. Till now, we only knew the concept of shell, circular shell. So, Sommerfeld proposed that in addition to circular orbits, there are elliptical orbits as well, which are known as a subshell. Okay. For example, if I have a shell like this is a shell, this is the nucleus. So, he proposed that each shell consists of many subshells. What is the geometry of the subshells? It is elliptical like this. It is elliptical. Right? So each shell, within a shell, there are many subshells. Fine. Now these shells are designated by the principal quantum number n. Right? The circular shells are designated by the principal quantum number n. So similarly, in order to designate these elliptical shells or subshells, another quantum number was required, which is known as a azimuthal quantum number. So these elliptical subshells are designated by a quantum number known as a azimuthal quantum number. So azimuthal quantum number है क्या फिर? Okay, so now we know a little bit. What do we know? What is the additional information we know? We know that each circular shell is composed of many subshells which are elliptical. To designate a shell, principal quantum number is required. To designate a subshell, here azimuthal quantum number is required. Okay, and these lines were explained on the basis that when an electron makes a transition from one shell to another shell, we get these lines. Similarly, this fine spectra was now explained on the basis that when an electron makes a transition from one subshell to another subshell, we get this fine lines. Why do we get these fine lines? When an electron makes a transition from one elliptical orbit to another subshell, one subshell to another subshell, we get this fine spectra. So this is the origin of this azimuthal quantum number. Okay, so what are the informations now which are given by this azimuthal quantum number? Let us see. Okay, so yes, first of all, we can definitely say azimuthal quantum number, it helps us to designate a subshell. It helps us to designate a subshell. Okay, fine.
Yes, sir.
So number one, so please do ask me if it is not understood. It helps us to designate a subshell. Okay, it helps us to designate a subshell. Okay, so first of all, I'll just start with this. It will be more easy for us to understand. Okay, it will be more easy for us to understand. The value of L ranges from what? 0 to n minus 1. So I think you have already done this in your school. So you should have an idea about this, right? The value of n, yes, it depends upon the principal quantum number, right? And the value of L ranges from 0 to n minus 1. Okay. Now, is the value of n equals to 0 possible? Is it possible n equals to 0?
No, sir.
No. Okay, there is no zero cell. Okay, so the value of n starts with 1, n equals to 1. So for the first orbit, what is the value of L? It ranges from 0 to n minus 1. What are the values of L then? 0 to n minus 1. n का value 1 है. So L का value एक ही होगा, that is equal to 0. That means the first shell, for the first shell, how many values of L are there? Only one. What is that value? 0. That means I will just write down number of subshells. Right? I'll write down number of subshells. So the first shell has how many subshells? The first shell has how many subshells? Corresponding to the value of
1.
L equals to 0, we can say definitely the first shell contains one subshell. Okay, that means in the first shell we have only one subshell. Similarly, for n equals to 2, what are the values of L? 0, तो है ये L का value 0 है ये. 2 minus 1, 1.
1,
So how many values are there? There are two
2.
values of L. That means each value of L corresponds to a definite subshell, right? So there are two values of L means how many subshells are there?
2.
How many subshells? There are two subshells. Got it? So the
Yes, sir.
second shell contains two subshells. Okay. Similarly, n equals to 3. What are the values of L?
0, 1,
and 2.
and 2.
0. Very good. 1 and 2. So how many subshells will be
3.
there?
3.
3. So it's so easy to remember. So the first shell contains only one subshell. Okay. The second shell contains two subshells corresponding to two values of L. The third shell contains three subshells corresponding to three values of L. Fine. So remember the value of L, it ranges from 0 to n minus 1. It is never equal to Na. It is L 0 to n minus 1. So L can never be equal to Na. जैसे यहाँ n का वैल्यू 3 है, L का मैक्सिमम वैल्यू n minus 1 होगा, मतलब 3 minus 1 2 होगा. ठीक है? Okay. So this part is understood, guys? Is this understood?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
This is so interesting. This will be so interesting. Hey, now it also helps us to, not only this, it also helps us to designate a subshell. It also helps us to designate a subshell. Okay, so what is the designation? So I'll give the values of L out here. Okay, the values of L. So what are the designations of subshell? So yes, tell me if you know this already. So some of you must be knowing it. Now L, can L be equal to 0? Yes, it can definitely be
Yes,
equal to
sir.
0. So L can be 0, L can be 1, L can be 2, L can be 3. Eh?
3.
Fine? And so on. L can be 4 and so on. Eh? So when the value of L equals to 0, the subshell is designated as
1.
S subshell. L equals to 0 means you are talking about S subshell. Got it? L equals to 1 means we are talking about S P subshell. So this, just as shells are designated by K, L, M, N, subshells are designated by SP. And on what basis are they designated? On the basis of values of L. So when the value of L equals to 0, that subshell is known as a S subshell. The subshell corresponding to L equals to 1 is a P subshell. The subshell corresponding to L equals to 2 is a D, F, and so on. So L equals to, we will remember in this way, L equals to 0, 1, 2, 3, S, P, D, E, F. L equals to 0, 1, S, L equals to 1, P, L equals to 2, D, okay, S, P, D, F, 0, 1, 2, 3. Got it? Is this
Sir,
understood?
sir, what if we take 4, 5, 6, and 7 like that?
4 G, 4 will be
Yes, sir.
G. Okay, and from there onwards, it gets quite complex, which is beyond the scope of our syllabus. So we just
Yes,
need
sir.
to understand till F. Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
sir.
First, let us make this concept clear. Okay. So now, yes, the azimuthal quantum number, it helps us to designate a subshell. Okay. Now just, again, let me just reconstruct this table. Okay. Just let me reconstruct this table. So you should not have any doubt out here, right? Okay. Now, n equals to 1. Fine. What is the value of L? 0. ठीक है
0.
ना? N equals to 2 होने से what are the values of L? L can be equal
0
to
and
0,
1.
L can be equal to
1.
1. ठीक है? When the value of N equals to 3, what are the values of L?
0, 1, 2.
0, 1, 2.
0, 1, 2. Similarly, I'm just writing out here, when the value of L equals to 4, what are the values of L? 0, 1,
1, 2, 3.
2, 3. Now, L equals to 0 means we are talking about which subshell? What is the designation? Which subshell? L equals to
1.
0. L equals to 0, which subshell?
S.
S. And that subshell, that particular subshell is present in which shell?
First. 1.
First. So how do we write this? We write it as it is present in first shell 1 is. Why 1? Because it is present in first shell. Why is? Because the value of L equals to 0. So in the first shell, which subshell is present? 1s subshell is present in the first shell. Similarly, what are the subshells present in the second shell? What do we write out here? What is the designation? क्या लिखेंगे हम लोग? L equals to 0 means S again. It is present in the second shell, so we write down 2S.
2P. अच्छा, 2P.
2S, L equals to 0 means
2S.
S. Yes, we have another subshell corresponding to L equals to 1. When L equals to 1, we are talking about P subshell.
E.
That P subshell is present in second shell, we write down
2P.
2P. So in the first shell, we have only 1S. In the second shell, we have 2S and 2P. Similarly, in the third shell, what do we have? Third shell में क्या क्या होगा?
3S.
3S, इसको क्या लिखेंगे?
3P.
3P, इसको क्या लिखेंगे? 3D. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Now fourth shell में
4S.
4S,
4S.
4P,
4P.
4D.
4D,
4D. 4F.
4F, and so on. Okay, and so on. Okay, so yes, it beautifully explains how many and what type of subshells are present in a particular shell. So in the first shell, 1S, second shell, 2S, 2P, third shell, 3S, 3P, 3D, fourth shell, 4S, 4P, 4D, 4F. N equals to 5A, yes, you can similarly do it. Okay, we can similarly do it. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So is it understood till here?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Good. So yes, these are the informations which are provided by this azimuthal quantum number. Okay. Now third is it helps us to calculate the maximum number of electrons in a subshell. This is equal to 2L plus 1. It's given with the formula 2L plus 1. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in the S subshell, what is the value of L? 0.
0.
P subshell, what is the value of L?
0, 1.
1. SPDF 0, 1, 2, 3.
1.
DL equals to
2.
2. F L equals
3.
to 3. F L equals to 3. Okay. So total how many electrons can be accommodated in a S subshell? कोई भी S, 1S, 2S, 3S, कोई भी S subshell में total how many electrons can be accommodated? कितने electrons total? L equals to 0.
2.
2. ये formula में बिठा दो L का value 0. 2 electrons. That means in a S subshell a maximum of 2 electrons. P subshell means L का value 1. L का value 1 बिठा दो ये formula में.
6.
So 2, 1, 2 plus 1, 3, 3, 2, 6 electron. So P subshell में maximum 6 electron. D
10.
10. Yes. It's 2. 2 times 2, 4 plus 1, 5, 5 to 10. F
14.
14. F में a maximum of 14 electrons can be accommodated. So 2, 6, 10, 14 is increasing by 4, 8. So now we know what is the maximum number of electrons which can be accommodated in a particular shell. Okay, now we also know the maximum values which can be accommodated in a particular subshell. Right? So S subshell may remember maximum of 2, P may maximum of 6, then 10, then and so on. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So I think it's quite clear now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Now, it ho gaya. Okay. So now can you explain why 2D subshell is not possible? Why 2D subshell is not possible? If you don't understand anything, please let me know. This is the only advantage we have right now, right? If you keep it to yourself, you'll never understand it. Trust me. Chemistry subject ही ऐसे we need to discuss. That's why live class. नहीं तो YouTube पे दुनिया भर के information. You have a infinite information in YouTube, right? So the only advantage we have is yes, you can clear your doubts. So if you keep it to yourself, okay, so maybe there are some topics which I may not be able to make you understand that vividly, but you need to tell me, sir, I didn't understand that topic. Kindly, can you repeat that topic? Okay, you can call me after the class as well. I'm there to clear your doubts. But तुम चुपचाप बैठोगे, okay, समझ में नहीं आया तो yes, you will not understand that. That's the end to it. So feel free to contact me. Feel free to ask me. Okay. So why 2D subshell is not possible? So हम लोग को पता है फर्स्ट शेल में 1AC था, सेकेंड शेल में तुम्हारा 2S पॉसिबल है, 2P पॉसिबल है ना, थर्ड शेल में 3S पॉसिबल है, 3P पॉसिबल है, 3D भी है, फोर्थ शेल में तुम्हारा 4S है, तुम्हारा 4P पॉसिबल है, 4D पॉसिबल है, 4F पॉसिबल है. लेकिन सेकेंड शेल में 2D is not possible. Third shell में 3F is not possible. Why? How will you answer this? Now, 2DI. For 2D, what is the value of N, guys? What is the value of N? What is the value of N? These number denotes the value of Na. 3S means S subshell in third shell. 4D means D subshell in fourth shell. So what is the value of N out here? 2D means what is the value of N? 2, second shell.
2.
For N equals to 2, what are the possible values of L? 0 to N minus 1.
1,
0
0, 1.
and 1. So since L is not equal to 2, L का value 2 नहीं होगा, and L का value 2 नहीं होने से तो D कैसा possible है? D means L का value 2 होना चाहिए, right? So since L cannot be equal to 2, 2D subshell is not possible. 2D subshell is not possible. So we can just explain in this way. Got it? Similarly, 3F क्यों possible नहीं है? 3F के लिए N का value 3 होगा, L का value 0, 1, 2. L का value it cannot be equal to 3. So 3F is not possible. So we can easily explain this way. Now, these quantum numbers, azimuthal quantum number, it is the additional information. Okay, it also helps us to calculate the angular moment of an electron. It helps us to calculate the angular momentum. Have I discussed this topic before? Guys,
No,
yes, I have definitely discussed it in the board theory. Then I told you that only those circular orbits are possible where the angular momentum is an integral multiple of nh by 2 pi. You discussed किया था हम लोग. So here, angular momentum. What is the value of angular? Yes.
Sir, I have not done, sir. Sir, I have not done, sir.
You have not done?
Yes, sir.
Why we have done it in the class?
No, sir. Sir, I am new in this class.
Okay, fine. You go through the recorded classes. You go to the recorded classes. Okay.
Okay, sir.
You'll understand it. So angular momentum means product of mass and velocity. Angular momentum means when an electron is revolving around when an object is revolving around a circular orbit. This is the center. Angular momentum is given by mass of the particle, velocity of particle multiplied by the radius, the mvr. So angular momentum is equal to root over L plus 1 h by 2 pi. So this is the formula for calculating the angular momentum. So this is the additional information now we have it. So we can also calculate the angular momentum of an electron with the help of azimuthal quantum number. So write down the formula. MVR means angular momentum is equal to root over L plus 1 h by 2 pi. So if someone asks you, calculate the angular momentum of an electron in 2p subshell. You're supposed to calculate the angular momentum in 2p subshell. How are you going to do? 2p subshell means what is the value of L?
1.
1. P means very good. L ka value 1. Whether it is 2p, whether it is 3p, whether it is 10p, P means L ka value hamesha 1 hoga. So what is the angular momentum? Root over 1 plus 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. So root over 2h by 2 pi. Bas. What is the angular momentum of the electron in 4p subshell then? 4p subshell?
So 2h by 2 pi.
Again same hoga. 4p means P means L ka value 1 hoga. Same aayega. Got it?
Yes, sir.
So what is the angular momentum of an electron in 3D subshell then? 3D subshell. D means what is the value of L? 0, 1, 2 SPD. Yes, L ka
So
value
root 3 into h by 3.
2. So, okay, L ka value 2, 2 plus 1, 3, 3, 2, 6. So, root
Yes, sir.
over 6 h by 2 pi. Root over 6 h by 2 pi. Okay, so it helps us to calculate the angular momentum as well. Now, last thing, okay, last obviously, but not the least. So, it gives information about the shapes. It also gives information about the shapes. Okay. So L equals to 0 means S subshell. So S subshells are spherical in shape. They are spherical. L equals to 0. Sorry, L equals to 1 means you're talking about which subshell? P subshell. It has a shape of a dumbbell. It has a shape of a dumbbell. We'll discuss this in details. L equals to 2 means D. It has a shape of a double dumbbell. And the shape of F orbitals or F subshells are complex in nature. So we won't be discussing about this out here. Okay, this 3 is enough. Okay, so today we learned an entirely new thing in chemistry. So till now we only had an idea about shells. Now we know each shell is composed of many subshells. And shells are designated by principal quantum number, whereas the subshells are designated by azimuthal quantum number. And depending upon and how do you calculate the value of L? The value of L depends upon the principal quantum number, and it ranges from 0 to n minus 1. So L equals to 0, 1, 2, 3, S, P, D, F, and so on. So these are the set of information which are provided by this azimuthal quantum number. So any doubts, guys, till here? So the third quantum number is known as a magnetic quantum number. Magnetic. Okay, it's known as a magnetic quantum number. It is denoted by what, guys? What is the symbol? M subscript में Li or just M or ML. We write it as M or ML as well. Okay, ML, or we can just don't get confused, or we can just write it as M. So what is this magnetic quantum number? What is this magnetic quantum number? Okay. Now, so you must have noticed that, you must have studied in physics that, okay, when a current revolves around a circular path like this, what does it generate? What does it generate?
Magnetic flux.
Magnetic field. Very good, magnetic field. So electron is also charged. Electron is charged. It has some charge associated with it. Right? Am I right? Electron
Yes,
is
sir.
charged. Okay. So when an electron moves along a circular path like this, what does it generate then? What does it generate?
Magnetic field.
It generates a magnetic field. And that magnetic field which is generated, okay, it is influenced by the external magnetic field. When you place it in an external magnetic field, it comes under the influence of that external magnetic field. Okay, fine. Okay. So to keep it very simple, let us explain this way. Okay. So under the influence of an external magnetic field, under the influence of an external magnetic field, okay, so you write it down along with me. Under the influence of an external magnetic field, electrons in a subshell adjust themselves in different orientation. Okay, they orient themselves in different, they adjust themselves in different orientations. Okay, and very important conclusion, each of these orientations orientation means what? Arrangement in space. Orientation means nothing but arrangement in space. Orientation means arrangement in space. So each of these orientations are called what? They are called, now we'll introduce a new term. We'll introduce a new term, are called orbitals. So this magnetic quantum number, it helps us to, what information does it give? It gives us the information about how these subshells orient themselves in space in presence of an external magnetic field. So it gives us an information in how many ways these subshells can be oriented. Each of these orientations are called orbitals. Okay, so what is the information given by this magnetic quantum number? It helps us, okay, magnetic quantum number gives us the orientation of subshells. Okay, it gives us the orientations of subshells under the influence of a magnetic field. And each of these orientations are called what? Orbitals. Okay, now listen, now listen. Okay. So now I'll just link everything. Okay, I'll be linking each other. And now see the value of ml. Okay, it ranges from the value of ml. It ranges from minus L to plus L, including 0. Chalo, likh lo. So what does the value of ml range from? The value of ml ranges from minus L to plus L, including 0 as well. The value of ml ranges from minus L to plus L, including 0. Okay.
Yes, sir.
You should be wondering what is sir talking about. Okay, what is all these things? Now let us see. So now let us try to understand. Okay, so I'll rub this. I'm just rubbing this.
Okay.
So just remember the value of ML ranges from minus L to plus L including 0. Now L equals to 0. Which subshells are we talking about? Which
First.
subshell? Which subshell?
No. S.
S. What are the values of ML? Chalo, what are the values of ML? The value of ML ranges from plus L to minus L including 0. What are the values of ML out here?
0.
Remember,
0.
ranges from minus L to plus L including 0. Eh? Yes, what is the value of ML?
0.
0. So how many values of ML are there?
1.
1, which is equal to 0. That means these is subshell. Remember, so since only one value of ML is possible, that means is subshell can be oriented in only one way. S subshell can be oriented in only one way. By the way, what was the shape of S subshell?
Spherical.
Spherical. Spherical means it is just like a ball, na?
Yes, sir.
Spherical means ball, football. No. Yeah, football. Sphere means it is a football. So whether you tilt the ball in this way or in this way, whichever you tilt the ball, does it give rise to the same orientation or different orientation? Ball imagine karo, you're turning around, eh? Each
The
time
same.
you turn around, you get a different arrangement or the same arrangement. Same. That is why this S subshell, since it has a spherical shape, it can be oriented in only one way. So how many orbitals are there in a S subshell? There is only one orbital, right? There is only one orbital. Okay. So now you know, now the picture will get clearer and clearer, and now the picture will get clearer and clear. Fine. Chalo. L equals to 1. Which subshell? P.
P.
P subshell. Right? What are the possible values of ML?
-1, 0, and 1.
-1 to +1, including 0, -1, 0, and +1. So how many values of ML are there?
3.
3. That means P subshell can be oriented in how many ways? P subshell can be oriented in 3 ways. P subshell can be oriented in 3 ways. Now I'm just going into details now. What are the 3 ways? Show L equals to 2, D subshell. What are the values of ML now?
-2,
-2 के बाद में आएगा -1, फिर 0, फिर +1, फिर +2. How many values of ML are there? 5. So this subshell can be oriented. It can be oriented in 5 ways. It can be oriented in 5 ways. So S subshell consists of how many orbitals? Only one orbital, because it can be oriented in one way. P subshell is composed of how many orbitals? Now each of the orientation is known as orbitals. So how many orientations are there? It can be oriented in 3 ways. So P subshell contains 3 orbitals. D subshell, it can be oriented in 5 ways. So D subshell has how many orbitals in it? It has 5 orbitals. Similarly, F subshell, L equals to 3. F subshell, what are the values of ML? Yes, the values of ML -3, -2, -1, 0, +1, +2, +3. So it can be oriented in how many ways? It can be oriented in 7 ways. So F subshell consists of 7 orbitals. Okay, now we know the number of orbitals. So we know the number of orbitals. We know the number of orbitals. Okay. So if you can just mute yourselves, it will be really wonderful. Background noise pura aa raha hai. If you could just mute yourselves, that would be perfect. Kindly. Now we just know that a subshell consists of only one orbital. So we can draw just one box out here. Right? P subshell consists of how many orbitals? 3 orientations. So 3 orbitals. So we draw 3 boxes like this. So each of these box designates an orbital. D mein how many boxes do we draw? We draw 5. Like this. Okay, so F mein we draw 7. Eh? Now let us see what are the orbitals. What are the orbitals in P subshell? What are the orbitals of D subshell? What are the orbitals of F subshell? Okay. So yes, S subshell का तो कोई issues ही नहीं था. H subshell मतलब तुम्हारा ML का L का value 0. So ML ka भी value 0. It can be oriented in only one way. That means it has a spherical shape. Right? It has a spherical shape like this. It has a spherical shape. Fine. P subshell. L ka value is 0. So what are the values of ML? The values of ML are -1, 0, +1. Now, depending upon the 3 values of ML, there are 3 orbitals possible. What are the designations of the 3 orbital? Px, Py, Pz. So 3 p orbitals are Px, Py. So in fact, the values of ML and this symbol are not related. It's not related. That means ML -1 does not mean that we are talking about Px. Okay, so it will be wrong to write like this. So there are 3 values of ML. So what are the 3p orbitals? The 3p orbitals would be, what are the 3p orbitals? Px, Py and Pz. These are the 3p orbitals. Is it understood? So P subshell is composed of 3p orbitals. Within a P subshell, we have 3p orbitals. What are the shapes now? Let us discuss the shapes. What do you mean by Px? So we know they have a shape of a dumbbell. Px means the lobes of a dumbbell are oriented along the x-axis. This is here Px. What is Py? So if you take this as the y-axis, the lobes will be oriented along the y-axis like this. This is your Py. What is a Pz? Perpendicular. So if I consider this as a z-axis, the lobes are oriented along the z-axis like this. So this is your Pz. So these are the shapes of your Px, Py and Pz. So Px means the lobes will be oriented along the x-axis. Py means it will be oriented along the y-axis. Pz means it will be oriented along the z-axis like this. So what are these orbitals then? Orbital kya actually? These are the region in space where the probability of finding electron is maximum. We have been saying this. So Px orbital ke liye, where is the maximum probability of finding an electron in a Px orbital? Where is the maximum probability of finding an electron in a Px orbital? In a Px orbital, the maximum probability of finding an electron lies along the x-axis. Py orbital mein the electrons are oriented along the y-axis. Pz mein the electrons are oriented along the z-axis. And we know the simple fact that these axes are mutually perpendicular to each other. They are mutually perpendicular to each other. Okay? So, under the influence of an external magnetic field, the P subshell can be oriented in 3 ways. Either it can be oriented along the x-axis, that gives rise to Px orbital. It can be oriented along the y-axis, it gives rise to Py. or else it can be oriented along the z axis. It gives rise to a pz orbital like this. Okay, chalo, fine. Now I think it's understood now. You should remember the shapes, right? These are very important, right? Okay, so p sharp shell ka dumbbell tha, and this p sharp shell, it can be oriented in three ways. So that is why 3p orbitals are possible. What are the 3p orbitals? Px, Py, and Pz. Now we know the geometry of these 3p orbitals as well. So similarly, L equals to 2 means d sub shell. And what are the values of ML? The values of ML are -2, -1, 0, +1, and +2. So 5 values of ML are there. So there are 5 d orbitals. So there are 5 d orbitals. There are 5 d orbitals. So what are the 5 d orbitals now? Yes, any idea? So the 5d orbitals are designated as dxy, dyz, xy, yz, dzx, dx square minus y square, dz square. So these are the designation of the 5 subshells. Fine. So what are the 5 subshells? 5d orbitals: dxy, dyz, zx, x square minus y square, dz square. What are the shape? Double dumbbell, I told you. Okay. So let me consider this as the x-axis. Let me consider this as the y-axis. Okay, and these are mutually perpendicular. Now dxy orbital means the lobes are oriented in between the x and the y-axis. There is a maximum probability of finding electron in between the x and the y-axis. In between, देखो बीच में, in between x and y axis. So this is your dxy. This is your dxy orbital. There is a maximum probability of finding electron in between x and y. Now, again, I'll consider this as the y-axis. I can consider this as the z-axis. It's not mandatory this I have to consider as x, y, and z. No. Okay, I can name it as x, y, and z as the way I like it, provided they are mutually perpendicular. So now I'm naming this as y, I'm naming this as z. So dyz means again there is a maximum probability of finding the electron in between the axes like this, double dumbbell. So there is a maximum probability of finding electron in between the y-axis and the z-axis. In between the y-axis and the z-axis like this. So this is a dyz. This is a dyz. Now next, again I'll consider this as the x and I'll consider this as the z. So yes, now you can guess it. What is the shape of dzx orbital? So again the orbitals, their lobes are oriented in between the z-axis and the x-axis. The lobes are oriented in between the x-axis and the z-axis like this. Like this. Okay, so what is this? This is the zx. Fine. So
Yes, sir.
these 3 orbitals, they have maximum electron density lying in between the coordinate axes, in between. Now the other 2, let us discuss. So I'll again consider this as the x and I'll consider this as the y. Now these 2 orbitals, they have the lobes oriented along the coordinate axis like this. they have the lobes oriented along the coordinate axis like this. So dx square minus y square means the electrons can be found along the x-axis and the y-axis. That means there is a maximum electron density along the x-axis and the y-axis. Okay, and the last one, yes, it's quite unusual in shape. So it does not have a double dumbbell. It is oriented along the z-axis and it has a circular node like this, right? A ring, it has a ring. जैसा Saturn ring नहीं होगा, ऐसा एक ring होगा. So dz square का क्या होगा? There is a maximum electron density lying along the z-axis like this. So this should be dz square. So these are the shapes of the 5d orbitals. The d orbital 5 ways. In how many ways can they be oriented? They can be oriented in 5 ways. So these are the different orientations. And we saw that out of the 5d orbitals, 3 set of orbitals have their lobes lying in between the coordinate axis. Lobes means maximum electron density in between, whereas the other 2 have orbitals lying along the coordinate axis. So these are the informations which are given by this magnetic quantum number. These are the informations which are given by this magnetic quantum number. Okay. So is it okay? Or yes, it is getting somewhat complicated, or is it okay? It's not complicated at all. Right? Okay. So देखो अब पता चला shells के अंदर each shell is composed of many subshells. Azimuthal quantum number. These subshells can be oriented in different ways, and the orientations of subshells are known as the orbitals, and the information is provided by the magnetic quantum number. Okay. So we can write in this way. So देखो L equals to 1 होने से ML equals to what? Minus 1, 0,
0 and 1.
plus 1, right?
Plus 1.
So there are 3 subshells, right? There are 3 subshells. Okay, suppose n equals to 2. N equals to 2 है यहाँ पर. So we can write what are the 3p orbitals? We can write it as, so we'll designate it in this way. 3p orbitals, it can be designated by boxes like this. What are the 3p orbitals? We can write 2px since it is present in second shell. Okay, then 2py, then 2pz. Similarly, if we have 3d, we can write down as 3dxy, 3dyz, 3dzx, 3dx square minus y square, 3dz square, and so on. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So now we come to the last part of particular topic, last quantum number as well, which, yes, any one of you, any idea what is the last quantum number?
Spin.
Spin quantum number. Okay. So if you have a clear understanding about this quantum numbers, now chemistry is going to be very easy for us. Eh? Okay. So most of the students have difficulty in understanding this quantum numbers, but this is the base of chemistry, as I have been telling you. Okay, this is the base of chemistry. So what is this spin quantum number? So it is just, we denote it by small s, right? Small s. Or sometimes ms as well. But normally we denote by small s. Right? Now, in addition to the circular rotation around the nucleus, the electrons, they revolve around their own axis, right? They revolve around their own axis. Okay, so depending upon the nature of rotation around its own axis, it can rotate in a clockwise manner like this, electron, okay, clockwise, or it can also rotate in an anti-clockwise manner. Eh? So depending upon the nature of rotation, whether it rotates on a clockwise or an anti-clockwise manner. Possible values of spin quantum numbers of an electron. S can either be plus half or S can either be equal to minus half. So how many spin quantum numbers are there? There are two spin quantum numbers. What are the two spin quantum numbers? Plus half and minus half, depending upon the mode of rotation, whether they are rotating in a clockwise or an anti-clockwise manner like this. And remember, this spin quantum number is independent of the other three quantum numbers, right? The azimuthal, the principal, azimuthal and magnetic quantum numbers, yes, they were related to each other. No? Principal, azimuthal, they were related to each other. L equals to 0 to n minus 1. ML equals to minus L to plus L. They were related, no? But this spin quantum number is independent of other quantum numbers, right? So these are the set of 4 quantum numbers. These are the set of 4 quantum numbers. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, so this is the main. What to say? This is the main understanding part of chemistry. Yeah? This is the main thing which you need to understand. Okay, as a student of science, as a student of chemistry, so this is a very, 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 very important topic. So if this part is understood, so